Thinking of playing Iron Cross. Man-to-man combat, East Front, 1941-42. Okay, so while the game is procedure heavy, it does start to get easier, as one would expect. So the Russian soldier here is in the down combat state, moved forward 1 hex to try to get behind some cover here, behind this rise. Moved 1 hex. The Germans back here in the improved position are going to... No, they cannot. They cannot use opportunity fire because oh, yeah. I need to remember opportunity fire ranges. That's yet another thing that probably should be on the player aid card. Never mind. The Germans will not get. All right, I'll move on to the next combat example to walk through. Okay, I didn't have to wait long. This is the defensive fire phase. So non-phasing player, it's the Germans in this case, get to fire units in normal state. So now the riflemen can fire. Now they have an even closer and even better target. So the PL, Pavlov, and 3 riflemen are out here moving quickly in the open. So yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. So range of 8. Okay. So this is defensive fire phase. Announce attacks. Again, the 2 German riflemen firing against this stack of moving Russians. Determine line of sight. I just did. It's clear. We're at a range of 8 hexes. At least 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Attempt observation. Definitely observation here. One thing we know right away is that the terrain of the hex they're in is clear, so we know that the base observation roll is 0, so or 10 or less to observe. So let's go through. There is no range adjustment, no improved position, no trees in the way, or AFEs or wrecks, no marsh, no down. The Russians are not in the down state, and the observing unit did not move. All right, so now we go to no prior successful observation, no level difference. They are moving, so that's -2, which is good. So -2 already. Oh wait, is that an automatic? I wonder if that's an automatic observation. That is an automatic observation, and I don't see what to do. I don't see any exception to an automatic observation. If any unitard hex moved within the last 3 phases. Actually, that's the case. It's an automatic observation. You can't get, so even if I roll 2 6s, -2, it's still 10. Okay, that looks to me like an automatic observation, which makes perfect sense, by the way. Now, let's try to do this. So now we do PCs to fire, that's for sure. So 8 and 7. Is there any difference? By the way, I need to remember to do the PC modification for opportunity fire. That doesn't apply here, because this is defensive fire, but I do need to remember, yes I do, I need to remember to do opportunity fire modification for PC, check. Alright, so I don't think I think it's just straight. Alright, okay, so they just barely make it 8, so the top German there is firing, alright, so, ooh, both of them made right on the line, so 7 to the bottom riflemen. So 2 German riflemen are firing. So those are the PC checks. Now we total modify firepower. Obviously 4 and 4 together. We start with 8. Eight firepower. The initial range is 8. So they're firing within the initial range because memory range is 8. initial range on the units is 8. So let's see. There is nothing intervening to reduce firepower. I think it's a straight 8. I do think it is. Okay. Now we determine number of dice. Well, actually, before we do that, 8 is easy, right? Because 8 is pinned, 4 is suppressed, and 2 is eliminated. So we have our numbers, halved, 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 halved round up, halved round up. Okay, that's easy. So now number of dice. I think the number of dice is 1 for the clear. 1, 4. Yeah, I think it's 1 dice. Ooh, this is going to be very grim, and frankly, it should be. Oh wow, this is going to be ugly. But what did I do? Yeah, okay. Oh, this is going to be really ugly. All right, so high is good for the defenders there. So luckily the PL is only pinned. PL is only pinned. All right. Next rifleman is also pinned. Next rifleman is suppressed. And the final rifleman is, oh, wow, those were really good rolls for the Russians. They actually only had 3 soldiers pinned and 1 suppressed. That is really very lucky for them. Yep, so that was determined number of dice required, roll dice and apply results. So they have a move marker. We put a fired marker on the Germans. By the way, that hex was sighted. Need to keep remembering to mark that as well. Hex was sighted, and I think that's it. So fires marked, targets marked, sighting marked, combat results marked. I think that's it. So that's a defensive fire. Okay, the moving fire phase. This is interesting. So the phasing player, the Russians in this case, may attempt to fire any normal status units. Units that have already fired, so that would be, for example, this stack. Units that have already fired this turn may not fire in this phase. Infantry and AFE units which have moved, for example, let's say this stack, may fire but with a penalty. And crude weapon units that have moved may not fire, like this medium machine gun here. Okay, so, but I do see some fire, so let's try this with the moving penalty. So I'm looking at this stack up here that moved up on the hill. They moved because they're marked there. We have a rifleman, and rifleman. So 3 riflemen. Yeah, 3 riflemen. So let's do, this is moving fire phase, announce attacks. So these 3 are going to, fire at the close unit there. Okay. So announce the attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A range of 5. Okay. Determine line of sight. Now, the line of sight is going to. I think it is going to take into account the trees. All right, I'll go ahead and I'm going to disregard this one, but not this one. So I think looking down through this hex, I think that one will factor in. I think. Let me double check that. No, I think it does. I think it does count. Okay, so that's line of sight. Attempt observation. So they're in a the Germans are in a 1 hex building there. So the base to observe number is, ooh, that's 6. Yikes. Yikes. So, you just have to have variable observation at this scale and scope, because this is going to make it much more realistic. All right, I'm perfectly comfortable with that. So base observation of 6. Now it's modifiers for that. I do think it's just -1 for that tree. There's no range, no improved position. Yeah, it is. So it's +1 for the tree, for the intervening tree. I believe that's it. Germans are not in the down position. Oh, the observing unit did move. That's why it's marked. So that's +2. Okay, so we're already up to 3. They might not even. It'll be a very. So let's see what helps them. We're not tour levels higher. The target did not move. Target did fire. Oh, all right. Let me talk about this. Okay, the specific variable is if any non-machine gun. These are 2 German riflemen, so they are non-machine gun units. So if any non-machine gun unit in the target hex used AP fire within the last 3 phases. All right, so we're in the moving fire phase. We have to subtract 3 phases, skipping the morale phase. So we go back to the defensive fire phase. They went to fire there. No. Reaction, movement phase, no, and movement phase. I think that they conducted opportunity fire during the movement phase. They're marked fired. I think they did. But this is where, if the game were going to be redone, you would want markers where you can mark them. Not only are you marking them fired, you're marking them fired in which phase. Okay. Because right now, I know they fired, but I don't know which phase they fired in. Okay, I think in this case it's not going to matter. I think that it was the movement phase. I think it was opportunity fire during the movement phase. I'm almost certain. Okay. So that is -2. So that changes a lot. So the +3 goes all the way down to +1. That makes a big difference. So it makes sense though. These units are moving at the same time that they're doing some fire, and so it all comes together and is quite and very good. They roll a 4. 4 + 1 is 5, which is 6 or less. So they have observation. Okay, so okay, so that's the Russians doing their moving fire phase. The attempt observation, they got it. PCs to fire. We do need to do PCs to fire. This is not opportunity fire though. So just going top down, we have a 9, 7, and a 6 for PCs. So the 9 makes it. So the 9 makes it. Wow. The 7 makes it. Like that. And now the 6 performance rating. Wow, they make it too. Right there. So they make their PCs. Total modify firepower. So it's 12. So we start with a 12 firepower. Let's see what we want. I think each one is modified for that tree. -1 per tree symbol in hex, a long line of sight. Because it wouldn't matter even if they were level. But looking down, I think we have to account for looking through the tree there, the tree hex. So it's -1. I think it's -1 for each of them. Yeah, I think so. So now it's 12 down to 9. All right. Oh, range attenuation is not a factor because we're within the initial range. I think that's it. So we have firepower of 9. So again, we do our 4.5 up to 5, 2.5 up to 3. We have our results there. Is that correct? 9, 5, yep. Okay, so then the number of dice. Okay, they're in that 1 hex building. So that is 3 dice, and so it's 3 dice for the Germans being in the 1 hex building, and we add another die for the firing unit having moved this turn. Remember, this is moving fire. The Russians have moved. It's going to make it even harder for them to get results. So 4 dice, we have our results here, 953, 2 targets, and we're going to go after one at a time, top to bottom. Yeah, that's a very high roll. I'll show the roll. That's way over. No result. And then the next target, yeah, way over. So that one's way over. This is the next roll, way over. So, oh, I'm sorry, I have three firers. Oh, that's, no, it's per target. Okay. Okay. Realistic though. Moving fire, defenders in a hill, in a building. Yeah. It no issues there at this point. So I guess we would mark them. Fired too, I guess. Didn't think about that. So again, if we were redoing the game, we would have moved markers, fired markers, and moved fired markers. But me, I'll just double up my markers. Oh, and they observed that hex. That's important too. Have to keep remembering that as well. Hex observed. Okay. And that was the moving fire phase.